I'm here to tell you, I think for the second time that I've been making these market updates, I was incorrect last month on a prediction. So it was a small miscalculation, but a miscalculation nonetheless. If you stick around to the update portion, I'll explain that to you, tell you where I was wrong. But first, I need to tell you about a conversation that I had with a client just yesterday. We're talking about his move to North Carolina, and he says, now that prices are steadily falling, and I had to say, wait a second, where are you hearing that from? He sent me an article from CNN Business and said, here are the places where single family home prices are falling, something like that. And that's not just to single this one out because these headlines are all over. We've talked about clickbait and stuff like that before. But here's my problem with this and these type of articles in particular. First is just the title of it. Here's where home prices are falling. Really, it should have said, here's where home prices fell, because this article is looking at the past. This is what a lot of these do. This one looked at the data from Q4 of 2022. So October, November, December of 2022. The article is just about a week or a little over a week old from when I'm recording this. So it's not an old article, but it's looking back on old data. Now that we're into that, that's almost like 6 months ago from today. Much, much different market. So this is talking about where home prices fell October, November, and December of 2022. That's the first gripe I have with that. The second thing is this article covered every market that the National Association of Realtors tracked, and the fine print that they don't really tell you, that's buried way down deep, is that home prices only fell in about 10% of the markets that the NAR covers. The entire National Association of Realtors, all the markets, prices only came down in that time in about 10% of them. That's the other part that really upsets me, because it's just misleading. And if you're not looking at this every day, right? If you're a casual observer, it's not your job or not a hobby of yours, you're going to see those and you're going to have misinformation from that. Furthermore, Winston-Salem and Greensboro were mentioned in this article, of course. And here's what happened during that same time with prices there. So not only were they not falling, this article is showing that home prices went up about 15 to 17% during that time. So again, that's why I want to make one of these every single month so we see exactly what's going on, so you have current, up-to-date information. If you're thinking about buying or selling a house, you can make a good decision. I'm Jeff Valentino. My contact information is below if you need help with that. But now into the data over drama market update. First with some national news. Mortgage rates did tick up slightly this past week, mostly due to some reports that inflation wasn't coming down as quick as they hoped, so that put upward pressure on rates, which was kind of to be expected. I don't think the overall outlook remains unchanged from kind of where rates are supposed to do or where they're going over the rest of the year, but we did see a slight uptick last week. They're still much lower than they were at their peak in November of 2022. So again, overall lower rates with normal seasonality coming into the market are showing just kind of that the spring market is here, but more on that in just a minute. Remember last month we said that Jerome Powell was kind of watching these things, and if the market heats up too much, too fast, that he's going to make adjustments. And the Fed has already been really steadfast on this. We're going to use rates to control inflation, right? It's just a matter of how much. Are they going to raise it by the 0.75 or lower numbers like we saw last month, 0.25, 0.50, whatever they're going to do. But they're committed to raising these rates over time until inflation curbs. So it'll be something that we're just going to have to keep an eye on. But let's get right into the Winston-Salem and Greensboro and High Point real estate markets for the Triad area. First, let's take a look at this 7-day market snapshot. We'll put up this graph here, and then what you're going to see here is that properties going under contract at 303 in the last 7 days outpaced new listings at 299. So this points to kind of what we've been discussing, more of a normalized spring market, right? Where the listings are increasing slightly, but we haven't seen that big push that we normally see, which happens in about March. So right now, demand is exceeding supply. We're not having a lot of time for inventory to build. That just points to a market that is still favorable for sellers. Now we'll take a look next at the overall numbers. We see total closed sales dipped again just very slightly this month over last month. And again, remember, this is kind of been predicted, right? Most people are predicting 20 to 30% fewer sales in 2023 versus 2022. Now, this is not because of less demand. They're predicting this primarily because a lack of inventory, which we've been discussing, it seems like, for a very long time here. And again, overall numbers, average sales price jumped up, kind of like I thought this number jumped up from last month. It came up about 3% to where the average sales price for the entire Triad is just under $290,000 right now. But let's take a look at the supply numbers, and then we're going to get to where I made this mistake. You can see how bad or not too bad it was, but first let's take a look at the overall supply numbers when we're looking at our supply-demand equation. First thing is number of new listings. This is falling in line again with a more, normal market. Now, as we're coming out into post-pandemic times, a more normalized market, we usually see a slight uptick in new listings. And we did see that this past month. Not a big jump, but we did see a slight uptick in new listings where the last few years during the pandemic, those new listing numbers actually declined a little bit during this month. So again, it's a sign of a more normalizing market that we're seeing that just a slight uptick. March is where we usually see the big jump in new listings as the spring market gets into full effect. So let's see what happens this month with new listings. I anticipate we'll see a bigger jump when we do this market update next time of many more new listings coming on the market. If we don't see the big increase that we typically see right during the March timeframe when the spring market comes in, this is going to be indicative of a supply shortage throughout the spring and probably into the summer. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with new listings. Total homes for sale, similar story, a slight increase, kind of what we would expect this time of year. Nothing big. Nothing really major to report or newsworthy either way here, just kind of what we're expecting. All right, let's move on to the demand numbers. We took a look at the supply side. Let's take a look at the demand side. The demand numbers we saw days on market kind of as I expected, right? We talked last month in the last update, specifically those last 2 weeks when rates came down, we saw a flurry of buyer activity in just that really quick 2-week time frame. So kind of as I expected, the days on market did tick down again during that time. It wasn't a huge drop, but it did come down 1 full day to 18 days where it had been increasing steadily through Q4 in this first part of the winter. And just regular seasonality suggests that this is going to continue to come down this next month or two as we move into a spring market. All right, so here's where I was wrong, the percent of list price. I thought with all that crazy buyer activity, I had so many houses I was seeing go over an over list price. I had clients miss on offers when they hadn't in a long time when we offered over asking price. I thought that the percent of list price was going to pop back up to at least 100%. This is where I made the mistake.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
I was wrong on this one. It stayed flat again at 99.4% of list price. So again, 0.6% overall difference from where it's been since July of 2020. This is a huge amount of time. And to only have that variation, to only come down 0.6% below 100%, obviously we spent quite a few times over 100% as well, but to stay flat at this says something about the overall, demand that's still in the marketplace. And while it didn't jump up like I thought it would, it still shows demand overall in the Triad is very high. So overall, I've been talking about how I thought December, January, February were going to be the best times to buy. I still think that was the case. The plus side for this, if you're you're heading into the spring market, right? Are you considering a buying or selling? If you were looking to buy during these last couple of months, right? Sure, you might have got a little bit of a discount. There was just not a lot. If you've been looking, there was not many homes to choose from. It was just kind of take what you can get type of scenario. The nice thing about as we move into spring, right? We should see a jump in homes come on the market. So if you've been looking, and I'm talking to clients and they're just saying, I'm not seeing anything. And we're trying to find them homes. We're trying to find off-market deals. We're trying to do a lot of things to find houses, but we should start to see, as the spring market really kicks off, we should see this uptick in listings. If we don't, it's going to be a problem, but we should see an increase in supply this next month and through April. On the selling side, a similar story to kind of where we've been in a normalizing market that still favors sellers, right? You still have the advantage. You have to price your home accordingly. It should be show ready. You should be available for showings. And you should be able to consider doing some repairs if we find something that's a big surprise or something like that. It's not the take it or leave it scenario that it was, but again, the market overall still should favor sellers, but we are making deals happen for both sides. If I can be a resource for you in real estate, in buying or selling, please reach out to me directly. You can email me at jeff@govalentino.com. Thanks.